Keanu Reeves walks into an upscale restaurant in the heart of the city, dressed in casual, wrinkled attire as if he just finished a regular day. He selects a quiet table, hoping to blend in while the shimmering crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow around him. However, before he can even place his order, a waitress approaches him with a disdainful expression and an air of arrogance. "Are you sure you can afford to be here?" she retorts, her voice dripping with sarcasm, loud enough for nearby diners to overhear. What unfolds next leaves everyone in the restaurant speechless and unveils a truth that alters everything. Before we dive deeper into this tale, let us know where you're tuning in from. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to our channel, as we have another special story coming your way tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. The Lumiere restaurant stood as a beacon of elegance in Beverly Hills, situated on one of the city's most prestigious avenues. Its expansive windows showcased streets aglow with opulent neon lights and gliding sports cars. Inside, every detail was meticulously designed to impress. Lumiere was not merely a restaurant, it was a hotspot for those seeking recognition and admiration. Ashley, one of the most seasoned waitresses at Lumiere, navigated the dining area with confidence, her practiced smile and perfectly styled bun reflecting her image of competence and poise. For her, working there was more than just a job. It was a privilege, a point of pride she often shared. Yet Ashley harbored another side, one that was exaggerated. She often felt a sense of pride that bordered on arrogance, possessing a unique ability to quickly judge patrons, mentally sorting them by their attire, demeanor, and overall appearance. Some people simply didn't fit in, she thought. The restaurant's glass door opened smoothly, and a man entered. He wore faded jeans, a plain shirt, and a comfortable-looking jacket that showed no signs of luxury. His presence was understated, almost blending into the background as he approached the reception desk. Keanu Reeves, despite being one of Hollywood's most famous stars, preferred not to showcase his wealth. His unassuming nature sharply contrasted with the glitzy atmosphere of Beverly Hills, making him appear just like any other ordinary customer at that moment. Ashley was at the reception desk, engaged in a conversation about a VIP reservation with a colleague, when she spotted Keanu. She abruptly halted her discussion, her gaze sharpening as she scrutinized him with barely concealed contempt. He certainly didn't resemble the usual Lumiere clientele. Without masking her reaction, she tilted her head and gave him a slow, thorough look, her eyes lingering on his scuffed boots. "Good evening," she said in a flat tone, forcing a smile that faded almost immediately. "How can I assist you?" Keanu requested a table, his voice polite and composed. Ashley raised an eyebrow as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard, her expression questioning his audacity. She crossed her arms, her smile completely fading. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" "This is a very exclusive restaurant," she remarked. Keanu remained unfazed, still smiling. "Yes, this is the place," he replied calmly. Ashley let out a short, incredulous laugh and shook her head. "Okay, just a moment. I need to check something," she said, turning abruptly and abandoning any pretense of politeness as she walked to the reception office. There, she accessed the reservation system, typing his name with exaggerated flair. When nothing appeared, she rolled her eyes and returned to the dining area, clearly annoyed. "Well, as I suspected, you don't have a reservation," she said, her voice laced with sarcasm. "We have a few tables open, but just to clarify, this isn't a casual dining place." Keanu remained unfazed, his calmness seemingly aggravating her further. "I'd like to eat here," he said, his tone steady. Ashley sighed dramatically, snatching a menu with a quick motion. "Fine, but I'll have to seat you in a proper area. Follow me." She strode briskly through the dining room, not bothering to check if he was behind her. When they arrived at the least appealing corner of the restaurant, she dropped the menu on the table with a loud thud. "Here you go. This table is ideal for you," she said in a sugary tone. "If you need anything, let me know, but only if it's absolutely necessary." Keanu kept his slight smile, disregarding her tone. "Thank you. I'm sure this will be quite the experience." As Ashley walked away, she quietly remarked, loud enough for a couple nearby to overhear, that he wouldn't last 5 minutes and would likely leave as soon as he saw the menu. Across the room, Keanu opened the menu calmly, his eyes leisurely scanning the choices. The live music filled the space, but his composed demeanor suggested that nothing could disrupt his tranquility. Ashley observed from a distance, a smug smile on her face, convinced he would soon request the check and vanish. She led Keanu through the dining area with brisk, mechanical strides, avoiding eye contact. Instead of selecting a table in the center, where the golden chandelier light accentuated the restaurant's elegance, she chose a secluded, dimly lit corner near the kitchen. Here, the sounds of dishes clattering and the hushed conversations of the staff created an atmosphere starkly different from the rest of the dining room. "Here you go," she says, carelessly placing the menu on the table. "I think you'll find this spot comfortable. It offers more privacy." Keanu looks at the table and then at Ashley, his slight smile remaining steady. "Thank you," he replies in a calm tone. She crosses her arms and narrows her eyes, trying to determine if he's being sarcastic or just oblivious. "You're welcome," she responds, her voice laced with sarcasm. "Just so you know, we typically reserve these tables for special occasions, but since we have no bookings tonight, you can have it." She spins on her heels and walks away before he can say anything. When Ashley returns to take his order, her demeanor turns even colder. She dramatically pulls out her notepad and gives Keanu a frosty look. "Have you made your choice?" she asks, not hiding her boredom. "Or would you prefer a recommendation?" Keanu glances at the menu and calmly points to one of the priciest main courses. Ashley suppresses a laugh, covering her mouth with one hand as if to stifle a sarcastic remark. "Oh, of course, the asterisk filet Deb Rossini asterisk," she says with a patronizing tone. "Just to clarify, sir, you do realize this costs $350, right?" Keanu nods, his calm demeanor unchanged. "Yes, it sounds wonderful." She tilts her head, a sly smile forming on her lips. "All right, then. Just to avoid any confusion later, I recommend you double-check the prices. We wouldn't want anyone to face any unpleasant surprises." Keanu remains unfazed, which seems to irritate her further. "I'm certain," he replies calmly. Ashley lets out an exaggerated sigh as if she's doing him a favor, and writes down the order. "Very well, as you wish. But I must warn you, our chef prefers that dishes like this are enjoyed by those who truly appreciate fine dining. I hope it meets your expectations." She spins on her heels but pauses to turn back. "Oh, and one more thing. The minimum tip expected here is 20%. Keep that in mind while you enjoy." As he waits, Keanu appears completely unaffected by Ashley's attempts to create discomfort. He looks around the dining room, admiring the decor and the pianist's performance when the appetizer arrives. Ashley slams the plate down, making it slide a bit on the table. "Here's your appetizer. Hope you enjoy it, or at least know what you're eating," she says with a smirk. Keanu responds politely, "Thank you." Ashley leans in, trying to provoke him. "You know, a lot of customers who order this dish end up disliking it. It's not exactly popular, but I think you'll manage just fine. Good luck." Keanu maintains his calm demeanor. "It looks excellent. Thank you for your attention." Frustrated by his lack of reaction, Ashley hurries away, muttering to a coworker, "That guy won't even make it to the main course. He'll ask for the check as soon as he sees the bill." Meanwhile, Keanu enjoys his appetizer at a leisurely pace. From a distance, Ashley watches with her arms crossed, a malicious grin forming as she notices him looking distracted. I bet he's going to ask for tap water. These types always do, she remarks to another staff member who ignores her. However, an elderly customer at a nearby table observes the scene, raising his wine glass in a silent toast toward Keanu, who acknowledges him with a slight nod and a smile. Dinner is just getting started. Ashley's growing irritation was becoming increasingly apparent. After taking Keanu's order, she decided to teach him a lesson, believing he didn't belong there. Instead of promptly delivering the order to the kitchen, she chose to focus on the customers she considered more important. She paused to chat with an elegant couple in the middle of the dining room, laughed loudly at a joke from another guest, and even served a cocktail to a different table. As time dragged on, Keanu remained patient. To provoke him further, Ashley repeatedly strolled past his table, feigning busyness. Each time he looked her way, she quickly averted her gaze and hurried off, acting as if she had more pressing matters. After a lengthy wait, an elderly man with neatly combed white hair and a navy blue suit approached Keanu with a friendly smile. "Good evening, young man. I hope you don't mind me interrupting." Keanu noticed the elderly man had been ignored. The man spoke with a polite yet firm tone, and Keanu responded with a calm smile, wishing him a good evening. The elderly man chuckled softly and leaned in, speaking quietly. He remarked that sometimes being treated poorly tests our patience, but keeping calm is a true sign of strength. Before Keanu could respond, Ashley appeared, interrupting them. "Sir, can I assist you?" she asked, her voice polished but carrying an authoritative edge. The elderly man narrowed his eyes but remained composed, assuring her he was just having a pleasant conversation. "It's rare to find someone so serene," he added. Ashley sighed dramatically and gestured toward his table, suggesting he return to his meal. Keanu observed the exchange with a calm, analytical demeanor. "Thank you for your time," he said to the elderly man, nodding slightly. The man returned to his table, casting a disapproving glance at Ashley, who seemed unfazed. When Ashley finally brought Keanu his main course, she deliberately took her time. She first paused in the kitchen to chat with the chefs, leaving the dish under the warming lamp. Afterward, she returned to the dining room to serve another table, completely overlooking the ready plate. When she finally brought the dish out, she placed it on Keanu's table with a brusque motion, saying, "Here's your order. I hope you enjoy it," her tone laced with irony. "And if you don't like it, please let us know. We can always switch to something more affordable." Keanu thanked her calmly, replying, "It looks excellent, thank you." Ashley offered a cynical smile and leaned in slightly, lowering her voice just enough for him to hear. "Are you sure? It's a very sophisticated dish. It might be challenging for someone who's not used to it." "I'm sure," Keanu replied serenely. "Thank you for your concern." Frustrated that she couldn't provoke a negative response, Ashley walked away quickly. At the bar, she commented to a coworker who was trying to ignore her remarks. "He's acting polite, but it's clear he's uneasy," she remarked with a chuckle as she set an empty glass on the counter. "I bet he doesn't even know what he's eating." It's always the same with these kinds of people. They come here to feel important, but end up embarrassing themselves. Her coworker forced a smile, clearly uncomfortable. "Maybe he just wants to have dinner, Ashley. Perhaps we should treat him like any other customer." She looked at him in disbelief. "Like any other customer? Did you see the boots he's wearing? He doesn't fit in here, and honestly, if he can't handle it, he shouldn't have come in." Meanwhile, the couple who had been watching the situation quietly exchanged whispers. "She's terrible," the woman said, shaking her head. "He's being so courteous, yet she keeps trying to humiliate him." "I agree," the man frowned. "It's disgraceful. We should say something to the manager." Back at his table, Keanu calmly finished his meal, noticing the sympathetic glances from other diners, but he didn't seem bothered at all when Ashley returned to clear his plate. Her face still showed disdain as she asked, "So, how was the dish? Did it meet your expectations?" With a forced smile. Keanu met her gaze and replied, "It was excellent, thank you." "Please let the chefs know they did an impeccable job." She raised her eyebrows, surprised that he had no complaints or signs of irritation. As she walked away, she muttered just loud enough for him to hear, "He might be smiling now, but let's see if he still is when the bill comes." Seated at the table, Keanu observed calmly, a slight smile on his face, his eyes indicating that the moment to act was approaching. Frustrated by her inability to unsettle him, Ashley decided to intensify her provocations. After serving him the coffee he requested, she spoke loudly enough for several nearby tables to hear. "You know, it's hard to maintain standards when just anyone thinks they can walk in," directing her comment at Keanu. Her colleague, visibly uncomfortable, attempted to change the subject, but Ashley pressed on. "That's why we have a reservations policy. It helps us avoid situations like this." Several patrons nearby began to take notice, some frowning, others intrigued. The couple observing the situation whispered to each other, clearly outraged. The woman placed her hand on her chest, murmuring that it was outrageous, claiming she was trying to humiliate the man publicly. An elderly man at a nearby table took a sip of his wine, watching the scene with disapproval. He muttered to himself that this had gone too far. Keanu, still seated calmly at his table, surveyed the room without showing any irritation. His serene demeanor seemed to unsettle Ashley even more, as she felt the gaze of other patrons on her. A well-dressed woman at a table 2 spots ahead remarked to her companion that he must be someone important to remain so calm. Anyone else would have left by now. The man replied, casting a curious glance at Keanu, suggesting he might just be stronger than she realizes. Determined to provoke a reaction, Ashley returned to Keanu's table, asking if he needed anything else, but her approach lacked professionalism. With an exaggeratedly sarcastic smile, she said, "I hope you're enjoying your experience. After all, it's always interesting to have different kinds of people here. It adds a unique touch to the atmosphere." Keanu met her gaze steadily and responded, his voice calm yet impactful, asking, "Different? Could you explain what you mean?" Ashley let out a brief, nervous laugh, attempting to keep her composure. "Oh, don't misunderstand me. It's just that our clientele usually leans towards a more traditional style. It's uncommon to see someone like you here." The room fell quiet, and nearby diners paused their conversations, clearly focused on the unfolding situation. Ashley appeared to enjoy the attention, feeling she had everything under control. Keanu remained silent for a moment, maintaining eye contact with her, his expression serious but not angry. Finally, he said, "You're right. Maybe I should approach this differently." Ashley blinked, taken aback, but before she could reply, the restaurant manager arrived. A middle-aged man with impeccable posture and an authoritative presence, he quickly assessed the tense atmosphere. When he spotted Keanu, his demeanor shifted dramatically, and he rushed over to the table, completely overlooking Ashley. "Mr. Reeves," the manager said, his voice filled with respect, "I wasn't aware you were dining with us today. Please let me know how I can assist you." Ashley's face went pale as she watched the scene unfold, her blood draining as she glanced at the manager. Keanu, clearly taken aback, locked eyes with the manager for a brief moment before shifting his focus back to Ashley. His voice was steady yet authoritative as he said, "Let's discuss how we treat others." The room fell silent, all attention directed at Keanu's table, eager to see the outcome. The manager of Lumiere, impeccably dressed and exuding confidence, appeared rattled as he assessed the scene. Ignoring Ashley completely, he leaned in slightly, showing respect as he addressed Keanu. "Mr. Reeves, I sincerely apologize for not recognizing you sooner. It's a privilege to have you here tonight. Please inform me how I can enhance your experience," he said, his tone respectful. Ashley, who had thought she was in control, suddenly felt frozen, her mind racing to comprehend the unfolding situation. Mr. Reeves? He knows him. What's happening? Keanu responded to the manager with a faint smile, saying, "Thank you, but there's no need for concern. I'm perfectly fine. I would like to have a quick chat with your staff, if that's all right." The manager's expression shifted to one of concern, sensing something was off. "Of course, Mr. Reeves, whatever you need," he replied, casting a sharp, disapproving look at Ashley, who stood nearby, pale and visibly uneasy. Ashley began to stutter, desperately trying to regain her composure. I I didn't know. I thought—" The manager interrupted her firmly, questioning what Ashley thought. That this customer, who happened to be one of the restaurant's owners, didn't deserve the same respect as anyone else. His voice was low but carried a seriousness that drained the color from her face. Ashley struggled to defend herself. He didn't say who he was, and he looked—" She trailed off, realizing that anything she said would only make things worse. Keanu finally spoke up, his voice calm yet heavy with authority. "There's no need to announce my identity to be treated with respect. It shouldn't matter. Everyone who enters here deserves to be welcomed with dignity." The entire dining room was captivated, and patrons whispered among themselves, shocked to learn that Keanu was one of the owners. The couple observing the exchange seemed pleased. The elderly man nearby nodded subtly in approval as the tables around him buzzed with quiet conversations. A man sitting with his wife leaned in and whispered, "I sensed something was different about him. He has an undeniable presence." The woman agreed, saying, "Look at how gracefully he's handling this. I hope she learns from it." Other diners exchanged whispers, some clearly feeling guilty for not stepping in sooner. The atmosphere in the dining room was charged with tension, everyone eager to see how the situation would unfold. The manager turned to Ashley once more, his face a blend of frustration and control. "Ashley, I need a thorough explanation of your actions after your shift. For now, please leave this table and keep your distance. I'll take it from here." Ashley opened her mouth to argue, but the manager's firm gaze silenced her. With a swift motion, she turned and hurried away, avoiding the stares of the other patrons. Keanu took a deep breath and stood up, noticing that all eyes were on him. Speaking with a calm authority, he began, "This restaurant was established with the vision of being a welcoming space for everyone. Welcome, regardless of attire or background. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case today, but I believe there's a lesson to be learned." The diners listened quietly, taking in his words. The manager appeared both anxious and impressed by Keanu's approach. Keanu then addressed the manager, stating, "I would like to meet with the entire team after the dining room closes. There are important matters to discuss." The manager quickly agreed, saying, "It will be done, Mr. Reeves. I apologize for everything." Keanu returned to his seat, and the dining room gradually returned to its usual atmosphere, though patrons continued to murmur about the incident. The once empty Lumiere dining room was now silent, with the staff gathered around Keanu Reeves, who commanded the room with his presence. He scanned the room, making eye contact with everyone, exuding a deep sense of calm and determination. "We all make mistakes," he began, his voice firm and clear. "What truly matters is how we respond to those mistakes. Today, we faced an issue that extends far beyond this moment. Welcome, regardless of attire or background. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case today, but I believe there's a lesson to be learned." The diners listened quietly, taking in his words. The manager appeared both anxious and impressed by Keanu's approach. Keanu then addressed the manager, stating, "I would like to meet with the entire team after the dining room closes. There are important matters to discuss." The manager quickly agreed, saying, "It will be done, Mr. Reeves. I apologize for everything." Keanu returned to his seat, and the dining room gradually returned to its usual atmosphere, though patrons continued to murmur about the incident. The once empty Lumiere dining room was now silent, with the staff gathered around Keanu Reeves, who commanded the room with his presence. He scanned the room, making eye contact with everyone, exuding a deep sense of calm and determination. "We all make mistakes," he began, his voice firm and clear. "What truly matters is how we respond to those mistakes. Today we faced an issue that extends far beyond this moment." Ashley sat quietly, absorbing his words. Some in the room appeared visibly affected, while others stared at the floor, lost in their own thoughts. Finally, Ashley raised her head, wiping away her tears. Her voice was soft but heavy with regret. "I never considered it that way before," she confessed. "I was so focused on the restaurant's image and maintaining standards that I overlooked what truly matters. I forgot that every person has value, regardless of who they are or how they look. I promise, Mr. Reeves, I will change." Keanu nodded, giving her a small, encouraging smile. "That promise is for yourself, Ashley, not for me. True change comes from within. If you need support along the way, I'll be here." She nodded vigorously, feeling a mix of relief and determination wash over her. Kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's about the small choices we make every day. It's about treating everyone we meet as if they matter because they do. That is what defines the character of a place and a person. Oh, Mr. Reeves, your message was clear. We will work to ensure that Lumiere reflects exactly what you envisioned. Thank you for reminding us of that." Keanu simply nodded, offering a serene smile as he stepped out of the restaurant. The streets of Beverly Hills sparkled under the city lights. He paused briefly on the sidewalk, gazing at Lumiere's entrance. His soft smile returned as he reflected on the evening's events. It was not just about a restaurant or a mistreated customer. It was about the importance of creating spaces where people feel seen, heard, and valued. Keanu understood that even in the most challenging situations, this was essential. As he strolled through the brightly lit streets, Keanu felt a surge of inspiration and transformation. He reflected on his words from earlier and the message he wished to convey to others that night. If he could leave everyone with a single thought, it would be this: in a world where you can choose anything, opt for kindness. True strength is found not in judgment, but in acceptance. Above all, it's the small daily choices that shape both our surroundings and our identities as human beings. If this story resonated with you, there are many more that can warm your heart. Tap the screen to discover additional tales of hope, compassion, and resilience.